our young friends, आप opinion makers भी हो, आप celebrities भी हो, you are artists, you are pioneers, you are experts, innovators, creators, but most important, I think you are change makers. तो मैं आप सबको बधाई देना चाहता हूँ. पिछले 50 वर्ष से I've done many things, but there's one thing that I've been consistent on. I'm a student of change. जब मैं यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ता था, and I was a student of history, and you look at different epochs in our history. Let me take one illustrative example. Let's take the Mughal period of our history. Where did we get our understanding from? We got our understanding from the basic fact that whoever was the ruler, and this does not apply to the Mughal period only, it implies to all kingdoms. Whoever was the ruler or the person who could control a narrative, they employed chroniclers. So most of our understanding of the history of that period, of any period, comes from what the chroniclers wrote. And what did the chroniclers write? Because they were in the pay, they were employees of the state system. They wrote what the state system wanted people to know. So they were, in a sense, it was a narrative which was predetermined by that. Then I want to fast forward. And I fast forward to an era where the printing press came as part of the Industrial Revolution in England. The printing press resulted in the written word, the newspaper. The newspaper served many purposes, especially in a democracy like ours. It prints news. Bhai Sahab, can we carry out that conversation separately from that? The newspaper has a news department. The news department has a lot of stringers, it has people gathering news, but typically the time it takes from an occurrence where, let's say, an incident takes place in any part of the world, and by the time it gets into the paper, typically something like 12 or 18 hours minimum have passed. And then something very special happens. I'm a student of history, and I'll give you an example. A very famous person who's a historiographer, E.H. Carr, who was not a historian, he was actually a part of the British, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. He was an intelligence operative, if I remember correctly. He says, what is a fact? आजकल हम लोग जब आपस में चर्चा करते हैं, तो जितने लोग हमारे मेरे मित्र लोग बैठे हुए हैं, वो एक ही फैक्ट को लेके, लेट्स से इस रो में 3, 5, 8 लोग हमारे मित्र बैठे हुए हैं, वो एक अकरेंस को 8 अलग अलग तरीके से उसको डिपिक्ट कर पाएंगे. Let me give you an example which Carr gave. He said the Caesar, the Roman emperor, crossed the Rubicon, the river, on such and such date. That's a fact. That's empirically verifiable. But that fact does not reveal one or two or three or many facets, which is what? Was Caesar the first to cross the Rubicon? How many people? Was it 10 people who crossed the Rubicon before him, or 100 people, or 1,000 people? And how many crossed the Rubicon after him? Then I want to fast forward, और मैं ये जो आपसे मैं interaction कर रहा हूँ, मैं political lens से नहीं कर रहा हूँ. जब मैं न्यूयॉर्क में रहता था, संयुक्त राष्ट्र में मैं I was the स्थायी प्रतिनिधि or permanent representative. The Trump era was beginning. I've even got a book on that. I was one of the few people who predicted a Trump victory at that time. And that book is called Delusional Politics. माफ करिए, मैं अपनी किताब को प्रमोट नहीं कर रहा. मैं सिर्फ आपको जो आप काम करते हैं उसके बारे में कुछ बताना चाहता हूं. The Trump era produced what is called the alt facts. अब मैं क्यों आपको इतनी लंबी लॉन्ग वाइंडेड एक्सप्लेनेशन दे रहा हूं? क्योंकि जो रिटन वर्ड है, जो प्रिंट मीडिया है, मैं राजेश जी से कह रहा था अभी कि जब प्रदीप राय जी बात कर रहे थे कि यू हैव टेकन ओवर और यू आर मोर इन्फ्लुएंशियल देन द प्रिंट मीडिया, मैंने ताली नहीं मारी बिकॉज आई डोंट वांट द वर्ड टू गेट अराउंड कि मैं प्रिंट मीडिया के खिलाफ हूं, बिकॉज आई नीड देम ऑल्सो अलॉन्ग विद माई यंग फ्रेंड्स हु आर इन द सोशल इन्फ्लुएंसर्स. क्या होता है फिर? देन एडिटोरियल कमेंट कम्स इन. और एडिटोरियल कमेंट क्या होता है? मान लीजिए आप ये मान के चलिए कि आपके पास दुनिया में सबसे बढ़िया न्यूज गैदरिंग टीम है और वो टीम जो है आपके सामने फैक्ट्स को एकदम अनबायस तरीके से रखती है. पर एडिटोरियल तो एक और भी काम करता है. वो अपनी ओपिनियन एडिटर साहब की या जो एडिटोरियल टीम होती है या एडिटोरियल बोर्ड होता है उसकी ओपिनियन देता है. और फिर माफ कीजिएगा, किसी ने कहा कि इसमें तो राजनीति आ गई, तो मैंने उसका जवाब दिया. मैंने कहा राजनीतिक तो हर एक चीज में आएगी. द mere choice of your words, the words you employ, will indicate what your bias is. It may not be a political bias, but it will be a human bias. And where five people are interacting, that human bias becomes a political bias. Because that's how political formations take place. और मैं एक चीज तो बतानी भूल ही गया. अखबार जो है ना, it's not an altruistic or a philanthropic venture. Somebody has to own a newspaper. It can be a cooperative also. Somebody has to finance a newspaper. So you come to another layer. That layer is the owner's influence. Now, in a good democracy, we are able to reconcile all these things. Why am I saying all this? The change you all have brought about is that news is no longer subject to a 12-hour or 18-hour gap. What you are able to do is to take advantage of the fact that by 2025 we will have कितने 900 मिलियन हमारे इंटरनेट यूजर्स होंगे. और अब नाउ एक मैंने एक्सप्रेशन यूज किया था पार्लियामेंट में जब कोविड पे चर्चा हुई थी. He said the problem is, and this is where policymakers have to be careful, truth will take its time to travel, whilst the lie, the truth is tying its shoelaces, I think that's the expression, whilst the lie would already have traveled halfway around the world. And therefore, the instant news, but the instant news is not the only thing. I don't mind if a good occurrence takes place somewhere, you have a landing on the moon, etc. The whole world will see it in any case. But some events are very significant. People might tend to either minimize their importance, or they may tend that doesn't serve their purpose to play tough. But the change that is taking place, all that is being replaced by an entirely new group of people. So let me start by saying I entirely agree with Pradeep Rayaji that don't underestimate your influence. You have an influence. You have an influence to inform. You have an influence to mold opinion. You have an influence to create narratives and alternative narratives where takes place, but most important of all, because of the demographic and age advantage that you enjoy, you guys, sorry I have to use that some term, but we use it all the time in the West and I spent a lot of time there. You guys will mold the real Amritka. Not only because you have stage advantage, but you have an understanding advantage. जितनी भी किसी अखबार की किसी चैनल की रीच हो, मैं माफी चाहूंगा, मैं चैनल्स किसी को नहीं कर रहा हूं, बट an interactive process, this is what I was telling Rajeshri ji, an interactive process between the channels and these groups will also enhance the channels and will also give a sense of belonging, a sense of participation, and a sense of contribution to the many celebrities that we have there. Now I want to, I'm sorry it's a somewhat long-winded introduction, but मैं आपको अपनी दो मंत्रालयों के बारे में कुछ बताना चाहूँगा। कभी-कभी जब मैं सुबह उठता हूँ, and आजकल तो ट्रोल्स कम है, I think वो हॉलिडे सीजन पे हैं ट्रोल्स, या पता नहीं कहीं उनको लगा कि ये ऐसे लोग हैं जो इनको ट्रोल करो, गलती से तो जवाब भी दे देते हैं और फिर एम्बैरेस भी कर देते हैं। देखिए, अर्बन सेक्टर के बारे में आपने कहा, Pradeep ji, आपने कहा that I've been the longest serving housing or urban affairs minister. I don't know whether that was a compliment or it was intended. No, but I have a different way of looking at it. If you look at the good things that are happening in the urban space, and I've been a party or I've been associated with those positive changes, then I think it's a compliment. But you know, the urban space is something which the challenges are so many. और मैं आपको एक दो छोटे से उदाहरण देता हूँ। जब when we became an independent country 1947 की बात कर रहा हूँ, हमारी जनसंख्या उस समय कितनी थी? 35 करोड़ थी। और इस 35 करोड़ जनसंख्या में हमारी जो अर्बन पॉपुलेशन है 17%। हमारा लैंड एरिया तो चेंज नहीं हुआ। अब हमारी जनसंख्या